Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Bill, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the sit area. You know, if you've looked around almost anywhere, almost any great tracking teacher, especially here in North America, will tell you that it's important that you have a sit area. You know, one place that you go to again and again and again and sit and really learn to know that particular place. You know, and the idea is that if you know one place really well, then you can use that as a reference for any other place. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the sit area, and you know, this is one of my sit areas, and it's beautiful here. I don't know how much of it you can see behind me, but you know, I'm out here in the desert, out behind, outside the city of Las Vegas, and you know, it's springtime in the desert, which is just a beautiful, beautiful time. Everything's in bloom. You can see the wind is blowing here a little bit, and it's not too hot yet, but it's a great place to sit. And you know, when you're looking for a sit area, you know, generally speaking, what we hear is that you should be looking for a transition area, you know, i.e. a place in the ecology where, you know, the forest is transitioning into a field, or you know, this flat desert plateau is kind of transitioning into the mountains back behind me. And you know, it's usually a good idea to have some water moving through or close to your sit area, because water really attracts life to it. So, you know, looking around at this sit area, I can tell you that we fulfill some of those requirements. I mean, we are transitioning into mountains back behind me. There's a fairly high degree of change or variation in both landscape and in the you know, the desert plants that are around here, and a change in the desert plants is going to mean a change in the mammal behavior that moves through here. You know, at certain points of the day, the birds just whistle through here, and it's really beautiful to listen to. You know, bird language is a whole nother course of study in and of itself. But all in all, it's not a bad place. You know, I can tell you that I know it's a little windy right now, but what I love about this place more than anything else is that it's quiet. You know, it's so quiet. And that's one of the things that you look for in a sit area, is a place where you can get some quiet. You know, it's so important to develop as a tracker. It's so important to develop that sense of inner quietude, and you know, really develop that to be strong in yourself. You know, so much of what we deal with in tracking has to do with perception and awareness. And what happens is that our senses, you know, our sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing, etc., you know, they get so bogged down in what's happening up here sometimes that we don't pay attention to them. So, you know, just having a sit area where you can come to every day to sort of quiet yourself down is really, really important. And developing that sense of internal quiet is really, really important. So this is one sit area that I use, and I really love it here. You know, I feel like I have a relationship with this place. I've used it so many times. But anytime I really need to get quiet, this is where I come to, and it's just a fabulous place. You know, springtime is a great time to be here. You know, summertime, it gets pretty warm. The fall here is beautiful, and winter starts to get a little bit chilly, but just coming back to this place again and again and again, you really get a chance to see the changes in that one place. And by seeing the changes in that one place, by seeing what we call the change in baseline from season to season to season, or even from different points of the day, you know, from morning to afternoon to evening, it becomes just a fantastic teacher. You know, I can't necessarily say that I've seen too many tracks come through here. I mean, yeah, there are tracks everywhere, of course, but I can't say that it's a highly trafficked area by animals. We get some coyotes through here and some foxes and so on. But what I love to do here more than anything else is to really get quiet inside and really just observe what is happening all around me. And boy, just having that backdrop whenever I go tracking, you know, that awareness of the change in seasons, it does so much for me as a tracker. I highly recommend getting to a place like this as often as you can, as often as you possibly can, if you really want to develop your tracking skills. So hold on to that for just a second, and in just a moment I'm going to take you to my other scenario. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to my other sit area. I think that you can probably see at a glance that things here are a little bit different than the other sit area. And on that note, let me just kind of show you around here a little bit. You know, this is the sit area right here. And I think you can see with this backdrop, it's a little bit different than the other one. Basically, it's a parking lot. But, you know, this is where I live. Here, let me fix this a little bit more. There we go. This is where I live. And, you know, you kind of have to grow where you're planted. You know, in reality, this is the sit spot that I use every day. This is the sit spot that I can come to most often. And really and truly, most of us out there probably have a sit spot that is similar to this. You know, I don't know if you saw behind me in the last shot that we did of me sitting at my sit spot out in the desert, but that was a pretty nice sit spot. You know, nice majestic mountains in the background, nice transition area, beautiful flowers blowing around and the little soft desert breezes. And this place is a little bit different. You know, here we have screaming kids and people driving by in cars and honking horns and loud music. But this is my sit spot. You know, this is my sit area. This is where I have the chance to come to most often. And I would wager to say that for most people, your sit area is probably going to look something like this. So there's a couple things to think about with that. You know, number one is that I don't want you to ever dismiss the power or the importance of a sit area really based only on its location. You know, if you want to be a tracker, you have to go to your sit area a lot. That's just how it works. But right here, you know, even though it doesn't seem at first glance that it is the best sit area in the world, you know, the Earth is no less present here than it is out in the desert. Okay, it's no less strong here than it is out in the last sit area that I showed you. And, you know, I mean, just because there's concrete on the ground and people playing loud music doesn't mean that the rhythms of the earth aren't apparent here. But even more importantly than that, what I really want to get across to you today is that the sit area, honestly and truly, is more about developing a relationship with the earth than anything else. And, you know, there's a good friend of mine up in Vermont who, you know, I don't know if he's going to be watching this or not, but I'm parroting a lot of what he normally says. You know, your sit area, you know, you have to look at your sit area like a relationship. And, you know, your sit area time is your time to develop a relationship with the earth. So sometimes, just like any relationship, sometimes you might not feel like putting any energy into that. Sometimes it may be some work. Sometimes it'll be incredibly awesome. But, you know, it requires a certain steadiness in order to grow strong. You know, for an example, you know, I love my fiance dearly, but if I went a whole year without her telling me that she loves me, I think there was a problem. You know, so in the same way, my sit area time is my time to develop my relationship with the earth. You know, and I do that through tracking. You know, I do that through awareness. I do that through sitting here and watching the baseline of this area, such as it is. You know, the way the pigeons flock around and the movements of the people and even some of the little rodents and household pets that get out occasionally. So, you know, it doesn't really matter where your sit area is. You know, ultimately, your sit area is found only in here. And wherever you go, you take that with you. It helps if you can have a sit area that's way out in the wilderness somewhere, but guys, that sit area that I showed you earlier, you know, that's a 30 or 40 minute drive for me. I'm not going to get there every day. You know, you have to find a sit area that you can access immediately every day. You have to find a place and you have to find a time every day to develop a relationship with the earth. And you know, I can't think of a more critical skill to develop as a tracker. I heard Tom Brown say one time that he even asked grandfather, he said, "Grandfather, you know, if I could teach my students one thing, what would it be?" And grandfather said, "Grandson, tell them to go to their sit areas at least twice a day." So, you know, to me that is a really powerful statement, and I notice that the more I go to my sit area, the better I do as a tracker. The more I go to my sit area, the more I develop a sense of inner quiet. The more my senses sharpen, the more my awareness raises its an acuity level. So, you know, for those of you out there that are having a hard time finding a sit area, guys, a sit area is where you find it. So I hope you can find one, and I hope that you're able to get there as often as you possibly can. And I hope you've enjoyed this video here today, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon. All right, guys, have a good one.